Zion Williamson, the biggest mystery heading into next season. Less than 5 years ago, Zion Williamson's highlights were going around the world. His absurd athleticism was unprecedented, and it looked like the North Carolina player was going to be the new unicorn to tame the NBA. However, his journey into the world's elite has been a torturous one, for both sporting and extra-sporting reasons. This is the story of how Zion has become the NBA's biggest mystery. Zion was born in Salisbury on July 6, 2000. When he was only 5 years old, the power forward already dreamed of being a basketball star, and at the age of 9, he was getting up at 5 a.m. to train. He played for both his mother's AAU team and his stepfather's team, where he also played point guard, before going to high school. But it was precisely during this time that Williamson definitely exploded. He attended Spartanburg Day School, where he completed this important formative cycle. During his senior year, he averaged a surreal 36.4 points, 11.4 rebounds, and 3.5 assists per game, being the most desired prospect by colleges across the country. That performance allowed him to be recruited by the prestigious Duke University, where he could play under Mike Krzyzewski, probably the most prestigious head coach of all Division I. But Zion was already world famous. The hype for his arrival to the NBA was further accentuated when he achieved unheard-of NCAA averages, with 22.6 points, 8.9 rebounds, 2.1 assists, 2.1 steals, and 1.8 blocks per game, with an incredible 68% shooting percentage from the field. Numbers that consolidated him as the clear favorite to be the number one of the draft in a class loaded with talent of the level of Ja Morant, RJ Barrett, or Darius Garland. But the New Orleans Pelicans didn't hesitate for a moment on who to pick with the first selection. Zion offered a unique opportunity to transform a small market into a powerhouse. His physicality, leadership, and attitude were a unique combination that the power forward had taken advantage of at every level he had played at during his career. But contrary to what happens many times, Zion lived up to that enormous hype. The North Carolina native suffered a major meniscus injury in October 2019, just before making his NBA debut. And seeing the precedence of players like Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid, who missed the first full year of their career to ensure a good recovery, many fans thought he would not debut the entire season. However, Williamson made his ambition clear by wanting to take the court as soon as he was ready. And as we said, he did not disappoint. Zion made his professional debut 3 months later on January 22, 2020, in a 121-117 loss to the San Antonio Spurs. He played 18 minutes and finished with 22 points and 7 rebounds, scoring 17 consecutive points in 3 minutes and 8 seconds during the fourth quarter. But most promising of all, he scored 4 3-pointers out of 4 attempts in that game, with that being considered the kryptonite of his game. New Orleans fans began to raise expectations for a player who looked like he was going to be better than their former superstar, Anthony Davis. Zion could only play 24 games during his rookie campaign, in which he averaged 22.5 points, 6.3 rebounds, and 2.1 assists, with 58% from the field and 43% in three-pointers, but shooting, indeed, a very low volume in these long-distance shots. But the general feeling was that this guy was going to dominate the league any way he wanted. Zion's next season was undoubtedly the best of his career. The power forward was finally able to play minutes without medical restrictions, and his performance skyrocketed to 27 points, 7.2 rebounds, and 3.7 assists per game in 33 minutes of play. All that while shooting 61% from the field. He became an all-star at just 20 years old, and the Pelicans began to show signs of a competitive team with the core of Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, and Zion Williamson himself. But all those expectations faded over time. The player suffered a foot injury known as a Jones fracture before the start of the 2021-2022 season. By mid-October, the timeline for his expected return was extended until December. In mid-December, it was announced that the injury was slow to heal and he would most likely be out another 4 to 6 weeks with a possible return to action around the All-Star break. And finally, in mid-March, it was announced that Williamson would not play that season. a cold water for a team that had been waiting for him all season long, and that managed to improve the previous season's record by 5 wins without even having their superstar available. New Orleans doctors tried to reteach Zion to walk in a way that was less damaging to his lower body, and the care was almost perfect in trying to get the superstar back to his best level of play. The franchise had a lot of patience, which was rewarded with early trade rumors surrounding the power forward. Many rumors pointed to Williamson wanting to leave the team, which didn't make much sense considering the efforts the Pelicans had made to keep him happy. Not only did Zion not come to a destroyed team, but he also had the fruits of the Anthony Davis trade around him. A young core that was joined by CJ McCollum to complete a starting 5 of great level, which a priori could compete for a good qualification for the playoffs. The Pelicans managed to avoid these rumors and started the season with great ambitions. Zion was able to play the first game of the season against the Brooklyn Nets, a game in which he scored 25 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 steals in a 22-point victory for his team. And the season was going well, maintaining averages similar to his pre-injury period. But in January 2023, Zion suffered a new injury. This time it was hamstring, which was theoretically going to keep him off the court for just a few weeks. But just like the previous season, the deadline for his return was extended until it was again decided that he would not play the entire season. With their superstar playing only 29 games, the Pelicans posted a record of 42 wins and 40 losses, qualifying for the play-in. But over the summer, that curse of extra sports issues that has plagued the top 2 players in the class of 2019 came to light. Porn actress, I don't know if we can use the word porn on YouTube, Moriah Mills started going viral on social media, posting information about her relationship with Zion. She started accusing him of adultery, claiming that the player already had a girlfriend with whom he had a child that she knew nothing about. Subsequently, she threatened to post a sex tape with the player, which curiously meant the end of her Twitter account. Who knows if because of a call from Adam Silver. And finally, the player was charged with much more serious crimes related to gender violence, facts about which the player has not made any statement. And this has caused basketball fans to not know if these allegations are real or just an attempt by Moriah Mills to get clout in social media networks. In addition, trade rumors have continued to swirl, with sources claiming that it is the Pelicans themselves who want Zion out of the way this time. Williamson is a unique player, one of the best athleticism we've ever seen, coupled with an ambitious personality. His performance in the NBA has not only been good, but has exceeded any expectations during the time the player's body has allowed him to enjoy a good level. The Pelicans have tried their best to build a great team that is already capable of qualifying for the playoffs without him. So it would be expected that with the superstar, the team should have a breakout season. However, little do we know about his current situation and what is really going on in Zion's head. A career that can go from potentially being the NBA's next generational player to an example of how a player's mentality can be more important than his basketball skills.